Alright guys and gals, it's getting later into the spring. We just passed Mother's Day yesterday. Happy Mother's Day to all you moms out there. And I just thought, I'm getting overwhelmed with so many blooms on the property. I just take you out and we'll walk through all of it that's going on right now and just look at it and talk about it. Alright, so normally we would start way over behind that bed, but I was pulling into my driveway and I saw this earlier today. And I just thought, I gotta start over here. Look at this. Isn't this just gorgeous? Everything is just really blooming just like crazy. And you see, we just rebarked this bed. I went through, I pruned everything up really good. Yeah, it takes some of the blooms off, takes some of the material off, but these plants will grow so much better now that I've pruned them all back. And they've got a big root system supporting a smaller plant. We mulched with like 5 to 6 inches of mulch, and these things are going to grow beautifully through the summer. This bed will look 10 times better next year than it did this year. That's even possible. These guys, I pruned a ton of material off. Let's go look at this. This is Vincent van Gogh right here. Don't mind the traffic. We got a 50-mile-an-hour road out next to us, so you might hear some cars going by, but isn't that a beautiful rhododendron? Vincent van Gogh. I just love that one. Just look over here. Now this is another bed that I actually need to clean up quite a bit, and I need to remulch and prune and kind of get this thing under control again, and it'll do better. But I got a lot of projects going on right now, hoping by the end of summer to get this one under control. These are kind of nearing the, well, they're past the middle. They're getting closer to the end of their bloom, and we'll start seeing these flowers falling off. But this is the Hallelujah. You guys have been following me on Instagram. You've been, I think I posted a pic of this one. But by the way, I'm finally trying to catch up with the time. So if you are on Instagram, I finally got on there, and you can follow me at mike.kincaid, and I'll just be posting pics of this. And then once we get out of the rhododendron season, I'll post pics of all the different cuttings and things that I'm doing around here just for fun. So Hallelujah, really bright, brilliant rhododendron, just lights up the whole area. Then we got one of my all-time favorites, Anna Rose Whitney. You see those big giant blooms. They've got these big, like they almost look like onions as they swell. And then those buds just turn into huge blooms. Look at this, let's get a close-up of this. So here's the buds. As they swell, they're just gigantic. Let's see. Look at that. So, I mean, that's against the size of my hand. These things are just enormous. I mean, they start out looking like that and then go to that. And when you've got a bunch of them in the landscape, it's just these big yellow heads coming up, and then these big flowers here, big blooms. This is a giant plant, man. It will. There's one at in the landscape near where I work over at the hospital, and it's probably, geez, 30 years old, and the thing's like 15 foot tall, but that one will get enormous. I've got 3 of them planted in there. This right here is bowbells, and see, the new growth is just as cool as the flowers, guys. So it's kind of a bronze color instead of green, and then eventually turns to green, but really interesting. And like I've said in other videos, I'm in love as much with the new growth on these as I am the blooms. They just really turn out nice. Let's go over here and look at Lem's Cameo. This is one that I was searching for a long time when I first got into rhododendrons, and you can see why. It's just a beautiful color. Look at the bud on that, just starting to open. This one's been open for a while, but it's still got some buds trying to open up. And the new growth is also kind of a bronze color, just like the bowbells over there. And then we've got Half Dan Lem. It's a nice red. It looks scraggly right now, but I'm going to prune all that up, and it'll grow bushier and thicker and fuller. And that one will get enormous over time as well. It grows wider than tall. And we actually, oh man, I'm going to try and find a picture and just post it in here, but we had a beautiful low-dry King George planted right here, and it was probably 5 foot tall. I got a nice picture of my daughter with it when it was blooming several years ago, and then it got hit by that Phytophthora. I made a video about that recently, but it died, so I replanted a species rhododendron here, and I'm still learning all the names. I don't know all the names of the species. Some of them are kind of elude me, but Austrochnum is this one. I picked this up at the Rhododendron Species Botanical Garden, but they've usually got bigger leaves. Some of these, well, There's a lot of smaller leaf species too, but I love the bigger leaf ones. And the size of these, the new growth, isn't that just amazing? It's just really cool. I love that stuff. We got North over here. Just a bright yellow now. That's the one that started out orange kind of color. And it's growing into a yellow here, and it's getting kind of towards the end. Mrs. Charles E. Pearson in the background. Really nice one. Let's get a close-up of that. Here's one right here. Isn't that just a neat... half of the thing that I like about these is when they're just starting to open up and they've got the different colors. You got the darker color with the buds, and then it kind of blends with the lighter colors of the blooms, and just, you know, when you get the whole shot of all of it, it just really looks nice. There's one that's just starting to open there. Oh, look at this, guys. You got to check this out. This is my wife's rhododendron. This is that Black Widow. And the original one that we bought is not doing well, but I got a bunch of cuttings off of it. I think it's just planted in a bad spot, but I got a lot of cuttings. This is one of the cuttings off of it. And look at this flower. It's like almost black when it starts opening up, and it opens to like a dark, deep dark maroon. But she loves those darker colored rhodies. I like the lighter ones. She likes the darker ones. It seems like a lot of the ladies I talk to like the dark colored rhododendrons. And then we got rhododendron Blitz. Just an entire hedgerow of red right there. Isn't that neat? And this one right here, well, it's got one bloom. See, a lot of these haven't even bloomed yet. We still got blooms that are going to come on here for the next month and a half, but there's one way back in there. Midnight Mystique, that's a pretty one. I'll have to come back out and I'll post a pic of that when it does bloom. But it's got tons of new growth coming out this year, so we'll have lots of blooms next year. And that's the way a lot of these work. You know, they get their, if they got a lot of blooms the next year, they may not get as many blooms, but they'll get a lot more new growth that's real robust. So this one, gosh, here, let's get around to the back side of this one. This is Lem's Monarch, just an all-time favorite. I keep saying that, don't I? They're all my favorite. Look at this. Look at that flower. It's just beautiful. Look at that. Just this one for some reason reminds me of like the tropics or Hawaii. It's those big, perfect, thick, leathery leaves and these beautiful blooms. Look at that, just trying to open up. Let's get down in this little shot here. Look at that. Just these big, beautiful blooms. It's like a, I don't know, look at how big these flowers are. It just, I don't know, it reminds me of plumeria or Hawaii or something. Those turn into really big plants. I gotta back out of here. Really big plants over time. This one's Puget Sound. It's nearing the end. It's very fragrant. Wish you could smell it right now through the camera. Let's come around here. There's a shot of what it looks like. Isn't that pretty? Very fragrant. It's got some loderi somewhere in its background, or Fortunii, the species. You guys got to see this. Scintillation and ensign, blue ensign. That blue ensign's another one my wife picked out. She loves those darker colors and the blues and all that. And that one's a really nice one there. This plant right here is just thriving over here, and it's growing huge. You see how much growth it puts on every year. And these things, if you don't know about rhododendrons, they send up whirls of leaves. So they'll send up this whirl, and then that'll be done for this year. And well, this was last year's. Now it'll send up another whirl, and then it'll put buds on that for the next year. And we still got some opening up. Look at that, right down in there. Isn't that cool? That's going to be a monster plant. If you were watching those earlier videos this spring, that was the white campanula, and it's done with its blooms, and now it's going to start sending up new shoots. In fact, let's go take a look at it. Here's the new growth coming up right here. People ask me all the time too, do you deadhead all your rhododendrons? No way, I could never do it. It's funny, I'll see my wife coming out here, and she'll be deadheading a lot, and I'm like, have at it, honey, have fun. But I deadhead all the small ones in the hoop house, but the ones out in the landscape, I just let them do their own thing. But blue ensign, and then scintillation. Isn't that scintillation just beautiful? That is a top-notch rhododendron right there. Just a really nice one. Look at that. Sweet. You imagine those just lining your driveway? Yaku Prince, just a light little delicate one. Not doing very good down here. It's right next to a gigantic tree, and anything I planted around trees, some of them do good, some of them don't. I don't know, but I may have to dig that one up. I mean, it's got a nice bloom, you can see, but I may have to dig this one up ultimately and replant somewhere else just so it fills out a little bit more. Oh, here you go. Look at this one. So this is fantastica. You can see the blooms. Look at this. Isn't that neat how it just gets so bright in the center with the pink edging? Let's look at some more. Look at that. This bed desperately needs help. I need to bark everything and prune everything up. I actually, look at that. It's a showstopper, guys. I'm telling you, so tropical. I actually did prune this one up already. It didn't do that good this year. Thompsonii, it's a species, but it's next to this big tree and it just needs more moisture. So I pruned it up a lot so that it wouldn't have to support so much green growth, and I'm hoping it kind of bounces back. I've got another planted on another part of the property, so I'm not worried about preserving it, but I hope it makes it here, because this one turns into a tree-like rhododendron over time and will get really tall. All right, I had to circle my way back around here. So that's where we just were. That's the scintillation. And we got all these Blitz along here. And then there's the Norf over there. And the Bowbell's way down under that Lem's Cameo. But look at this bed. My wife begged me to do a bed like this when we first started planting out here. And isn't that beautiful? It's just like a tropical, I don't know, orangey kind of feel. All the ones down below are Hostas is the name of them, and all the ones up top are Apricot Fantasy. And then last year I made a video about Hostas. You guys can click the link in the description down there up in the corner, but they're coming back. They're coming back bigger now. Sometimes people ask me, hey, did this ever come back, or did that thing do okay? Well, there they are. We planted one after every Hostas, or in between each of the Hostas, all the way around. That's a big blue leaf Hosta. I don't get too carried away with the names or trying to remember all the Hostas. I just like to collect them and plant them. And I know some of you are wondering about those Empress Woo and all those ones we made videos about last summer. And we'll get to that. We will get to that. But these Hostas, look at that one. That one's doing fantastic. Isn't that just beautiful? Big leaves. And the Apricot Fantasy. It's a nice one. Beautiful rhododendron. Gets real tall. I mean, this is almost as tall. We're like 5.5 foot here on these guys. Isn't that beautiful? And it makes just a gorgeous bed. Yellows and orange. You don't see a lot of yellows and oranges in rhododendrons, and so it's nice to have a lot of that plant out on your landscape. All right, let's come back over here. We got our pink dogwood. We got a white dogwood over here. Still got those Phyllis corn, that 9-foot tall rhodie way back over there. And then another Apricot Fantasy. That's the mother of all the ones behind me that you just saw. We got another one about to erupt here. And then Winsome, all that pink right behind it. But look at this. I love this one. This is called Midnight. Look at that bloom. Look at that deep, dark throat there. Isn't that beautiful? Isn't that nice? I love this one. I actually picked this one out. My wife likes the dark ones, but this one just stood out to me. I had to have it. Alright, over here we got white gold. That just kind of lights. It's nice to have a white every once in a while. Just kind of lights up the darker areas of the property. Look at that gold color in there. It's just a pure, beautiful white. I like how the buds start out just a soft, soft pink. And they just open up to that pure white with that gold right in the center. White gold. And there's Nancy Evans. Didn't have too many blooms this year. I posted a pic of that one. But it sure is a beauty. Next year, all these new growths. You can see, here's a little thing. These rhododendrons, well, yeah, this one too. So this was this first bud here is turning into new growth. If that was a flower, it would flower, and then like this one, we had a flower that got zapped by some frost, you can see, and so it sent up multiple shoots. So everywhere there's a flower, you're going to get multiple shoots. But everywhere there's not a flower this year, you're going to get a single strong sturdy shoot, and it'll have a flower bud. So next year this thing will be covered in flowers. Alec G. Holmes, isn't that a pretty one? Didn't stand out too much to me in the beginning, but I was just collecting varieties, and the bigger it gets, the better it looks in the landscape. I actually really like it now, especially planted under that pink dogwood. We got Jingle Bells over here. Ooh, Fire Rim. Look at that, look at those colors. This one's got a million little blooms, or a million little flowers at each bloom. It's just really big bloom with lots of flowers all around it. And this year, it's got some blooms throughout the plant, but there have been years where every single bud was a flower bud, and it just was covered in that color. Pretty cool. Oh, look at this. One of my wife's favorite, Eruption, is just starting to open up. I better show this to you while I can. Here's what it looks like when it's opened up. Isn't that neat? Kind of looks like the Fantastica. My wife loves this one. Alright, let's back out of here. I'll watch where I'm walking here. My Maccabeanum still hasn't bloomed. That's a big species, but it takes longer for them to bloom. I think it's more of a yellow flower. And this is Odie Wright, nearing the end. You guys saw pictures of that. There's where it starts. Kind of looks that kind of a apricot kind of color. Opens up to a yellow. Really nice one. Look back over here again. I love that shot. Love all these little green paths we've got going through everything. Jean Marie de Montague. Oh, Denali. I need to clean this one up and really do some work on this, because this Denali just stands out. Look at that pink bloom. Look at that. This one just really stands out, and I need to clean it up and get this bed healthier. Well, it's healthy, but it's just not very cleaned up and showy right now. Here's red gold, kind of like white gold, only it's red with a gold throat there. Isn't that pretty? God, I gotta do a lot of work. This whole entire bed needs to be pruned and weeded and mulched and all of it. We'll get there. Dad's Indian Summer had more blooms than I thought this year. It's really starting to open up. Kind of a neat one. They have one of these planted at Point Defiance Zoo and Aquarium, and I saw it years ago, and I thought I gotta have one of these, and I finally found it and snatched it up, and it sure is a beauty. We're getting around here. Oh, this one right over here. Oh, there. I'm all over the place. There's one of my azaleas that the deer didn't find. Apricot Fantasy. And then the Phyllis Corn. I just had to show you that because I love that portion of the bed. This little, just the colors. I like that softness and those colors in there. The white dogwood behind it. That one right there. That's Anna Rose Whitney, that big one. That thing's going to be lit up here soon with pink. That was that one with the big onion bulb looking heads of flower buds there. But this one, this is what I was showing you guys. Like a rabbit trail here. So this is Senator Jackson. This is the one. If you guys have been following me for a while, this is the rhodie. The only rhodie I've not, actually there's two rhodies, Mrs. Furnival and Senator Jackson. I have not been able to propagate. Years of trial and error, different ways, not been able to propagate. I think this year I might have some cuttings actually rooting. We'll see what happens. Stay tuned. But there's a reason I'm trying to get this one to go. And there's a bloom, and here's a bloom here. Look at that, just pure white and big flowers. And it doesn't look that spectacular this year because you can see it was covered in blooms last year. And usually when they're covered in blooms one year, the next year it's more vegetative growth and not so many blooms. But when this thing is covered, oh man, it's something else. Here's Top Banana. Look at that yellow. Pretty nice looking. There's another bow bells. It's a bigger one. That's the mama. I took all them cuttings out front off of. Skookum. Nice red. Then we got unique marmalade, and the colors, it's a nice looking one right now, but the colors are starting to fade. It's getting towards the end. There's still some blooms just starting to open, but I like the color contrast in that. Another tropical feeling rhododendron. Look at this shot, guys. Look at all these blooms right now. Look at this. Absolutely out of control. It's amazing. Oh, quick, I got to show you something. Over here. This is Lavender Princess. I love this one. Absolutely love it. Look at that. Look at that bloom. Isn't that pretty? I love this Lavender Princess. Beautiful rhododendron. There's Trailblazer. Right below it. That's a nice one too. It stays low growing. Let's go look at the Virginia Richards. And then I think, we haven't done them all, but we've reached the end of this one. Here's Virginia Richards. That's a nice one. This gets big, turns into a hedge over time. But you can see what it looks like. I like the contrast in color. It's a subtle rhododendron, but it's a tried and true old-fashioned one, and it does good every year. And I like the contrast in the buds, the new blooms opening up with that lighter color here. This one looks really nice. And it grows nice too. I don't ever have any problems with this one. Virginia Richards. So that's what's blooming right now. I hope you guys enjoyed that one. Enjoyed that little walk through my landscape. You're always asking, what does everything look like? What does your landscape look like? That's what one side of my landscape, one quarter of my landscape looks like. So there's more. Some things aren't blooming quite over on this side yet. Some things are, but this side, I started, you know, on this side of the place and went all the way around over the years. And this side is not quite as developed yet, but we're getting there. In future years, you guys are going to see all of this stuff. So I hope you enjoyed this one. If you did, hit the like button, subscribe if you want to follow along. Have a fantastic week, and I'll see you guys in the next video. Adios.